This is not a ride sharing video. This is not a ride sharing video. What up, folks? Once again, it is your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. Today we got a couple topics I'm going to hash up with the people. I'm going to run a couple things by you folks. Just wanted to come in and talk to the folks because the first topic, you obviously see the live stream is titled, "What are Trump's reelection chances?" And I will give you my spiel as to why I'm asking that question. But outside of President Trump, we have another major news story that's all over the place. I'm sure if you watch any even a little small amount of news, including your 10 o'clock local news, you've undoubtedly heard about this. There was a kidnapping of 4 Americans down in Mexico. 2 were ultimately killed. The other 2 were held hostage, tortured, and they have been returned to the United States. But the question I'm asking is, should the Biden administration deem cartel members as part of a terrorist organization, which would indeed give us the power to go into Mexico militarily, carry out assaults and strikes without any permission from the Mexican government? Very similar to what we did in Iraq, what we did in Afghanistan, what we're somewhat doing in the Ukraine. Drones flying over the head, firing at will at targets we believe or we deem are a threat to America and its citizens. Do you believe America should do that? Which could obviously be to the ire of the Mexican government. Because make no mistake about it, anytime you are engaging in military conflicts, there will be casualties. What about the cartel member that runs in someone's house? Maybe a U.S. drone uses a hellfire, and all of a sudden a couple kids or other innocent citizens are taken out. How does that work with international relationships with Mexico? So do you believe America unilaterally should deem the cartel members terrorists and take on unilateral action without the permission of the Mexican government? Like to hear that. Now, going back to the original topic, and that is, what are President Trump's chances? I'm only asking this question because what is coming out of Fox News is nothing short of exciting for folks who talk about this stuff. At this point, we now have excerpts that Tucker Carlson has stated, "I passionately hate him," in reference to President Trump. It appears that Tucker Carlson, for the sake of ratings and potentially a huge payout, I think the guy gets about $10 million per year, was actively on air telling the folks things that he clearly did not believe. It wasn't that he was trying to defend the integrity of the 2020 election because he believed the liberals and Biden stole it. Behind the scenes, it's fairly clear he did not himself believe the message he was passing on to the people. Now, the owner of Fox News, Rupert Murdoch, has also been caught stating that he wanted to turn President Trump into, quote unquote, a non-person, whatever the hell that means. So I want to ask you folks, what is the chances for President Trump from an aspect of, I understand my beloved MAGA have nothing but love for Trump, and that is fine. That is your entitlement. Nevertheless, a presidential candidate needs allies. What politicians are aligned behind Trump at this point? Many of you saw C-SPAN, the coverage for CPAC rather. The CPAC coverage, the venue where he spoke was at least a quarter empty, if not halfway empty. So folks are not showing up. Obviously, Mike Pence was not at his speech at CPAC. Obviously, Ron DeSantis was not there. I don't believe Ted Cruz, Lindsey Graham, or any of the main players were there. So I have to ask that question. What politicians are now considered allies of President Trump? I suppose outside of maybe Marjorie Taylor Greene and Carrie Lake. How many other allies? Because I talk to you folks all day, every day, particularly my beloved MAGA, and they often state that most of the Republican senators and congressmen are rhinos. So without any support in the political sphere, without any support from the predominant Republican news network, talking about Fox News, how can he pull this off? Now, new enemies would include folks like Mike Pence, Ron DeSantis, Chris Christie, obviously Rudolph Giuliani, Lindsey Graham. None of these folks seem to be allied with Trump anymore. How can he pull it off? Going straight to the comment section. As always, I don't ban, block, or censor anyone for their commentary. Give you plenty of time in the box to state your point without any fear of being censored, blocked, or banned. I observe your free speech, First Amendment rights just as much as my own. Fact that you may disagree with the host never means a damn thing here. Start out, tap the screen, get your boy up to 5,000 likes. Let's get it going. Keep America Trumpless. 2024 says a Bizzolator. If you've never heard that phrase, keep America Trumpless. Wow. Vote Bernie. He was just on Bill Maher last weekend, and he made it clear he's not intending to run for president ever again. So the Bernie vote is out. I do see a lot of Trump 2024s in here, and there is a hell of a lot of support for President Trump among the voters. But as I just stated, you cannot win a presidential election without big name allies. At this point, many corporations are no longer behind Trump. The entire Fox News network, from Rupert Murdoch through Tucker Carlson to Sean Hannity to Laura Ingraham, none of them seem to be behind President Trump. I just stated to you a host of his former allies do not seem to be behind him. How can he pull this off just from grassroots voters alone? I don't think he can do it, but I want to hear from you. Let's go straight to the box. We'll start it out with Jeff, 1987. Good afternoon. Let's start it off with such a reduction in allies. Good afternoon, Jeff.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm doing good, doing good. What do you think Trump's reelection chances are?
Well, I wanted to ask you a question.
Sure.
You have a day job, correct?
Absolutely.
And you have to do what your boss tells you to do, right?
Yes, sir.
If you were making $10 million and he told you to do cartwheels, wouldn't you do backflips with it too?
Well, that's a really good question. Normally in my profession, I would answer by saying, hell yeah. However, in Tucker Carlson's profession, it's not like Tucker Carlson it's not like if he resisted the request of Rupert Murdoch, there's nowhere else he could go. There's a hell of a lot of commentators and news reporters that have left one network and went somewhere else because they wasn't happy. Tucker Carlson could easily start his own social media page.
But this is what my dad and I were talking about the other day. If he left Fox News, would he move on to like Newsmax and get an immediate advance, let's just say $15 million? Probably not.
Somebody as big as Tucker Carlson, I think he could probably come close to that 10. But let me respond to you by saying this. Rupert Murdoch is the boss. And Rupert Murdoch himself has stated that he believes Sean Hannity and Tucker Carlson went too far. So to respond to your original statement, would you do what the boss tells you? It appears that they were doing this on their own.
Well, I mean, apparently they didn't get in trouble because they still hired.
That is true. But it doesn't appear that they were doing
Rupert Murdoch isn't going to fire him because there's a lot of fans like myself. When I'm not on the road working, there's a lot of fans that watch the show.
Right.
And there's a lot of, and honestly, to be honest with you, there's a lot of TV stations that don't catch Newsmax unless you go to Dish or something like that. So I think Rupert Murdoch's going to keep him employed because bringing a lot of views to his show.
I said the same thing because just like you pointed out, if you are a consumer of conservative media, you want the media from a conservative perspective, without Fox, there's really nowhere to go. Like you pointed out, OAN and Newsmax are not carried on a hell of a lot of platforms. So even though
Exactly.
Fox News certainly has been caught with their hand in a cookie jar, but there's nowhere else to go. But how do you think folks are going to view the claims that Tucker Carlson actually said, "I hate Trump with a passion"?
Personally, I've never seen that, and I'd like for you to give me an indication as to where I could go see that. I've never.
Just Google it. Just Google the words "I passionately hate the man Tucker," and it'll tell. It's coming out in the Dominion lawsuit. And by the way, Tucker Carlson is not disputing that because he knows if he does, they'll sue him. So just Google it. You'll see where it's coming from, and notice the lack of pushback from Tucker Carlson. In fact, the things they're claiming that Sean Hannity and Laura Ingraham stated also. They're not pushing back and saying it's not true. They're like, well, you're cherry picking statements, but even if you cherry pick, what would lead you to say you passionately hate Trump? So notice they're not pushing back and claiming it's not true.
I don't know. I'd have to go look at that. I've watched the show. I don't really watch Laura Ingraham as much, but I do try to catch at least the last part of Tucker and Sean Hannity when I can.
Right.
But out of the whole Fox News, I would say that Jesse Waters is probably my favorite one to watch. I think he's funny.
I'm a long-term Fox News. I've been watching Fox News fairly religiously since '03, so I know when Waters came on there, he was under Bill O'Reilly and things like that. Jesse Waters is turning into what Eric Bolling used to be when he was on the network. If you're familiar with Eric Bolling, he got Me Too'd off the network. But in regards to Fox News not covering most of Trump's speeches at this point, he used to be able to call into the network, whether it was Fox and Friends or call in with Hannity and stuff like. He has no access to that network to any significance. So my question I'm asking is, can he pull it off again in 2024 with so few allies on the big scale anymore?
I think if the tickets are right, I think he can do it.
If the what is
like,
right?
For example, if the tickets, like depending on who he has on the ticket, you know, if he has Trump with, for example, as much as they're not getting along right now, I guarantee you put Trump and DeSantis together, they'll dominate whoever else is on the other side.
Yeah, but would that be good for? It would clearly be good for, as you're pointing out, it would clearly be good for Trump. But considering the amount of adoration that DeSantis has, if you were Ron DeSantis' advisor, would you advise him to get on a ticket with Trump?
Personally, I wouldn't advise Ron DeSantis to run for president at all.
Ever?
I mean, I don't think he needs it. Probably not. No, he doesn't need it. He doesn't need it. I mean,
why would you?
I mean, what's going to be his pension when he retires as governor at Florida? Too much.
We're not talking. Wait a minute. Wait. When you're talking about what I mean?
President, so it's like, right. I'm just saying. I don't think he needs to run because, first of all, when they run for president, they're gonna dig all in his ass, and I don't think he would need that. I don't think he wants that.
But what you're talking about, who else that has ran for president does not fit those same parameters? When you say he doesn't need to run, did Trump or Clinton or Bush, all of those folks were super rich. None of them needs to run. And in regards to folks digging in that ass, hell, they went to Kenya and talked to Obama's distant relatives. They're going to dig in your ass if you run for president.
True.
Yeah. That's going to happen no matter who you are.
Exactly. I just don't think. I don't know. I don't think he has. I don't think he wants it bad enough. I mean, he definitely doesn't act like he wants it bad enough. You don't
think DeSantis? I don't. Just on a political scale, let's take the possibility of him running for president out of the picture. Just simply judging DeSantis as a politician. What is your opinion of him?
I think he's good. I think he's done a lot of good for Florida, and I think he'd be a great president. I just personally don't think he wants it.
If Trump was
I
not
mean, shit.
allowed to, if Trump decided he wasn't going to run or he wasn't allowed to run or orange jumpsuit stuff kicked in there and Trump was not in the picture, who else would you want to pursue that position?
Um, shit. I don't know. I think if I had to choose to make him vote to make DeSantis run, I would definitely go DeSantis with Candace Owens.
Candace Owens.
Yes.
Talk to
Yes.
me. Talk to me. What the hell? What about Candace Owens would make her a decent VP?
I think she's smart. I think she's very to the point, and she fits a lot of the she fits a lot of the puzzle pieces. I mean, I just think she'd be a great vice president.
How do you think she would do with the minority vote?
Oh, I mean,
Take your
I think
time.
she'd
Take
do
your
really
time.
well. I mean,
You
she's an
really?
intelligent, smart black young lady. I think she would kill it. I think she would
Really?
kill it.
You think
Oh
Candace
yeah,
Owens would bring the? You think Candace Owens would bring in the black vote to the Republican side?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Hey, as always, Jeff, I got to move it on. You always welcome back. Appreciate you coming in here.
Thank you.
Okay. Absolutely. In the comment section, that's a definite no. Yeah, like I say always, I don't ban, block, or censor anyone for their commentary. So the fact that you may agree or disagree with your boy, that doesn't mean a damn thing. Everyone gets to speak here without fear of censorship, regardless of what side of the aisle you're on. That's the whole purpose of this, is to show that if it can be done in this tiny ass corner of social media, they could do it in Washington. They're not trying. Nevertheless, and by the way, tap the screen. 700 plus of us in here. Get your boy up to 20,000 likes. I'll go right back to the box. But before I do, I'll just preface it by saying, in regards to my last caller suggesting that Candace Owens could quote unquote kill it in acquiring the minority vote, my opinion is completely 180 degrees of that. Zion, appreciate the hat mustache. Yeah, thank you. But yeah, I just could not possibly see Candace. I don't even feel confident Tim Scott could do very well with the African American vote because the African American community is so anti-Republican. I'm not saying that there are not good things about the Republican Party that would resonate with African Americans. I'm just simply saying that it is difficult for the Republican Party to get the African American vote. And Candace Owens is a bomb thrower. I mean, she's talked about, she's obviously had conversations with Kanye West, the White Lives Matter clothing and slavery being a choice and all of that stuff. I'd be very shocked to see Candace Owens perform as well as my last caller suggested. But let's keep it moving. No black Republican can bring over African Americans. Damn, what is that? Fancy Prancy. I love that. I've never seen that before. Thank you. Jeff is looking for a black person that will talk down on black voters. Roosevelt, Emerson. Wow. In regards to judging Candace Owens, some folks suggest she does talk down to African Americans. Others suggest she is simply trying to wake us up and make us accountable for our actions. Your humble correspondent, yours truly, my own personal take of Candace Owens, even if she is trying to wake up the African American community and get us to correct some of our wrongs and flaws, you cannot do that with all negativity. You can't you're not going to fix anyone. It doesn't have to be African American. It could be Hispanic. It could be white. It could be any background, women, men, whatever. You're not going to get anyone to listen to your advice when all you do is preach negativity. There are a host of African Americans graduating from colleges. There's African American astronauts, generals, all of that. All her coverage on African Americans is negative. Your pants are sagging around your ass, you're rioting and looting, you're endorsing gangbangers and hip hop. There is enough in the African American community to have positive segments at this point. It shouldn't be all negative. Let me keep moving it on, though. We'll make it happen with Cleve Dog. Haven't talked to Cleve in a while. Good afternoon. Welcome to Cleve Dog.
Hello, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. We're talking about two different topics. One being, as I was just discussing with the last caller, what are Trump's chances now that so many prominent Republican and right-wing entities, corporations, news networks have literally abandoned him. And the second is, should we deem cartel members after what just happened in Mexico? Should we deem them terrorists and start taking military action against them without the permission of Mexico? Go.
All right, first of all, Trump chances, I give him about an 80% chance to win re-election
That's
because of
good.
the economy. It doesn't matter about corporations. Facebook just said they'll give him back his accounts. Also, Twitter. So so the internet is where it's at. Not Fox News or CNN or nothing like that. It's that people hone in on the message and they know and see the truth finally.
But I'll let you continue, but let me interrupt and ask this. When it comes to Trump supporters, do you think he does well with younger vote? Does he think he'd do better with younger voters, middle-aged voters, or older voters?
All three.
You think he does pretty well with younger voters?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Keep going.
And the reason why he does well with younger voters is people want jobs. And when the kids go to college, they want to come out and go in and fill out their practice what they went to school for. Well, you can't do that in a bad economy when jobs are not plentiful. So he'll do
what happens? What happens if the Biden economy rebounds? What do you think Trump's chances are then?
Well, I still give him an 80% chance because one thing that's really hurting America right now is inflation. And with Jerome Powell coming out and saying that the Fed is going to hike interest rates, that's bad. That's really bad. Bad on the economy.
But I asked you, what would his chances be if the economy rebounded? And you countered with inflation and recession. You countered by saying it's not going to rebound. I'm saying if it does rebound,
it won't. It won't rebound because if you have high interest rates, you coupled with going into a recession / depression, where the jobs are going to be.
So let's talk about the jobs. Why, if like you mentioned, the young kids coming out of college, they want jobs. That's 100% true. Why are there so many employers? If what you're talking about, the jobs issue, why are there so many employers saying they have jobs and nobody will show up to take them? You're making it sound like jobs are hard to find. The employers are making it sound like employees are hard to find.
No, I'm not saying that jobs are not hard to find. What I'm saying is a doctor that graduates become a doctor. He don't want to leave the practice and become a cook at Wendy's.
Okay.
The doctor want to go into his field and practice what he learned out of the 12 years and go into residency and go on to specialize in whatever he wants to do. It'll be hard to do.
I don't see where that was something. Using the example you use with a doctor wanting to remain a doctor, I don't see where medical professionals are like under the Trump administration. I could find jobs in my profession, but under Biden I cannot. I don't see them complaining about that.
I was using that as a metaphor, Tim. I was using that to give an example. Now, if say like an engineer, he goes to school 4.5, 5 years, and maybe go back and get his master. He or she go back and get their masters. And what good is it to have a job that he has a student loan debt that now he can't pay because he don't have a job, and the jobs that used to pay $80,000 for a particular engineer is now paying like $40,000 or $50,000.
Let's take that. Okay. In regards to, you mentioned, now you can't pay a student loan debt. If student loan debt is your concern, which one of those candidates should you pick, Biden or Trump?
I'll pick Trump.
Why?
Because I want a job.
You said, but it's so you want a job. Wait a minute, hang on. So you got a candidate that's willing to forgive your student loan debt, but you want a job to work 20, 30 years to pay it off. You'd rather take that route.
Yes.
Okay. All right. You think that's where most Americans are?
Well, that's hard to gauge right now because it's fickle because Americans, they want freedom and they want liberty, but they don't want higher taxes. I don't want higher taxes.
Well, let's take that. Let's say, for instance, I'm gay or I'm a woman. You think if I get rid of Biden, and go to the Trump administration as a gay man, I'm gonna get more freedoms?
Freedoms are freedoms, Tim, regardless of who president.
No, you can lose freedoms. Different presidents can take. If you like your Second Amendment freedoms, you're better off voting Republican because the Democrats will actually challenge your freedoms to the Second Amendment. If you are LGBT, and you believe that both parties are going to give you equal freedoms, you're not following the rhetoric that's out there.
Well, the rhetoric is well, can I call a spade?
Let's do it.
Who want more freedom? If you want freedom, if you want more of it, who are you going to run to?
What freedoms are you concerned with?
Well, I'm concerned with all the freedoms. Because
are you concerned with a woman's freedom? Are you concerned with a woman's freedom to choose?
Yes, that's her choice. Tim.
So where should she vote?
Wait a minute. I believe that abortion should be banned. I'm pro-life. I don't think that our government should be a part of that decision making. Kick it down to the states. Well, the Supreme Court did that. Put it on the states to choose. All right. So what happens then? They have it either they have to be on record of voting for or against abortion. Now, if you want to leave your state, you can. If they ban abortion, you can leave your state. You can go to California, or you can go to other places that so-called pander to that amendment or that right.
Okay, but that's the problem. But wait a minute. Wait a minute. We're talking about freedoms. Now, if you are a woman and you want the freedom of choice, which one is more free for the woman? A federal law allowing a woman to have an abortion in the United States, or states' rights giving different states the right to make their own laws? Which one presents more freedom to a woman that wants the right to choose?
State rights.
You think, how is that?
How is that? Because the federal government wasn't set up to hit.
That ain't what I'm asking you.
That's exactly what you're asking me.
No.
The federal government is not set up to be like this, Tim. You cannot.
I get that.
See, here's the problem. Every time that people run to the government becomes more and more bigger and more intrusive. They'll go into your life and tell you what you can and cannot have. Who wants that? Nobody. So why do you do that?
Let me simplify it. Under the federal rule, as a woman, I can have an abortion in all 50 states. Under the states' rights rule, all of a sudden, 20 states no longer allow me to have an abortion. You're telling me in a situation where 20 states are now saying, no, I am freer, my freedom of choice is better under that rule?
Yeah, move. You have an option. Move. I'm serious.
I didn't expect you to say that.
Now, preface this, Tim.
What if she can't move? What if she can't move?
Wait a minute. I'm asking you a question. What block of American citizens now are more prone to 2A? Do you know?
No.
Black women. Black women are the highest statistic rates of buying guns for protection now in the United States. So
what's your point?
Who have their best interest? Would that be a bigger bloated government under Joe Biden or a government under Donald Trump?
You're kind of making the argument that I said earlier.
No.
I said if you hang on, I already conceded that if you care about Second Amendment rights, you're making the point I made earlier. I already conceded that if Second Amendment rights are your freedom you're concerned with, it makes more sense to vote Republican. All you're doing is
Same thing for
repeating what I
abortion.
said.
Same thing for abortion. If the state you in want to take away your 2A freedom and right, you move to somewhere where you have more freedoms and rights.
What if you can't afford to move?
State.
What if you can't afford to move?
A lot of people move, Tim. You can find a job.
That ain't what I asked you. That ain't a lot of people. A lot of people commit murder. That ain't what. You're answering the question with something. What if the person can't afford to move? What should they do?
Like what, Tim? I mean, so
let me give you an example. Let me give you an example. She's pregnant. She doesn't have enough money to move. What should she do?
That's a good question.
What's your answer?
Question.
What's your answer?
I would move. I would try to figure out a way to move. Leave that state you're in.
So if she can't do something, she should just keep trying to figure out a way to do it while pregnant. While pregnant.
That's what'll make America good and great, Tim. You have an option.
All right.
Right? Now going to your other question about Mexico. See,
I don't think you answered the first one really well, but go ahead.
Well, so going back to Mexico, yes, we need to go ahead. Now, I'm not in the fantasy world, but you need to go ahead and start attacking these cartels in Mexico. You got to. They become too big and too powerful. And matter of fact, some government members that we have had dealings with the cartels already. So we got to take them out.
All right, we might be more closer to agreeing on that, but the other topic, we're miles apart. But I got to move it on, Cleve Dog. It was good to hear from you again, though, man. Come on back in here. Don't be a stranger. Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
All right, you too. All right. Comments, by the way, folks. You see what we do here. It's healthy dialogue from both sides of the aisle. It's not meant for us to agree. That's not what this is about. It's not about gotcha questions. It's not about the host talking down to the guests. There's a hell of a lot of places you can go on this app, on social media, if you want to be called a libtard or a racist from the liberals or the Republicans. We don't do that here. We allow folks to speak, state their point without any fear of censorship being banned or being talked down to. You don't have to agree with the host. Tap the screen. Get your boy up to 30,000 likes. I would appreciate that. It helps out the algorithms. This program is and always will remain MAGA friendly. MAGA are my preferred guests. Nevertheless, liberals are welcome. Let's keep it moving. And if this is what you like, civilized dialogue from both sides of the aisle, follow the program. All right, let me go back to the box. We'll keep it moving. Okay, old timers. It's been a minute. Old timer, welcome back, bro. Hang on a second, old timer. I want to see something here. Somebody said something I wanted to read into. Oh, yeah, I'm black, but I'm acting like an Uncle Tom. Can't rob just anybody fucked around and found out. The grammar on that is so bad. The only thing I get out of it is that I'm being referred to as an Uncle Tom. Good afternoon, old timer.
Hey, what's going on, brother?
Not much at all. I'm sure you heard the dialogue there, but what we were first discussing is, what do you think Trump's chances are for 24?
Well, hold on real quick. I need to tell the viewer to go back and look up the actual story of Uncle Tom and the definition of where that came from, and realize that he was a slave movement underground railroad free guy. So, that's really not a slander. But
well, the idea is they see an African American, they see a MAGA hat, and they automatically assume you're a seller. They don't look at the name of the program. They don't listen to the dialogue. The purpose of the hat, I say it on every broadcast, is to let MAGA know that this is a MAGA-friendly program.